Hello, I'm Catherine, your ASMR nutritionist, and today is going to be a really positive session because we're going to be talking about all the healthy foods that you could benefit from in your diet, which are going to help you to be a happier person, to be your best self, to give your body all the building blocks it needs, and your brain all the building blocks it needs to function at its very best. And obviously this isn't everything to happiness, it's just one component, but you give yourself a heck of a lot more of a chance, not to mention countless other benefits, particularly later down the line in the long term. There are huge benefits to eating in the right way and making sure that you just have all the nutrients you need. That should be your number one focus when it comes to any sort of dietary implementation. Never restriction, just making sure that you have all of the nutrients that you need. So firstly, I think it would be really helpful if we could go through your current diet, and then that will help me to give you recommendations that will benefit you personally. You know, the things that you're deficient in, or the things you're not quite getting enough of. Okay. So if you could tell me what you have for breakfast, lunch and dinner usually. Okay. Okay, and do you snack at all? Okay, and when do you snack, and what kind of snacks do you have? Okay. And when do you finish eating? Roughly each day. You can say if it's inconsistent. And how many servings of fruit and vegetables do you usually have a day? Okay. So you've got some variety there between your breakfast, lunches and dinners, which is good. Variety is the spice of life and also very good for your gut microbiome. But I have a couple of recommendations based on what you just said that will just help you to not necessarily a healthier diet, it's just kind of filling in the gaps which you might have missed just accidentally because most people aren't checking what vitamins and minerals they're getting through everything, all the time. So it's completely normal, and we're just going to give you a few recommendations to get you on the right track to just supercharge your health. So the first thing I'd recommend is upping your omega-3s. Now, lots of people struggle to get enough omega-3s because, for a start, if you only eat plants, then they're mainly found in walnuts, chia seeds, flaxseed, which we call linseed here in the UK, though lots of people still call it flaxseed. I call it flaxseed most of the time. But they're very good sources of omega-3, but the thing is with that is that you need to make sure you're having a decent amount of it every day. And obviously that can be difficult to do consistently. I manage, but only after a very long time of not managing to get everything I needed. Some other great sources are fatty fish, but of course there are issues with fatty fish, especially recently, sadly, because our oceans are so polluted. There's quite a lot of microplastics in fish these days, so I try to avoid them. But it's completely up to you. I mean, there are plenty of other things that we're consuming regularly in our traditional Western diet, which is probably worse than that. But what I do to make sure that I have enough omega-3s and also omega-6s is I take flaxseed oil every day. In this capsule. As you can see, I have almost run out. And that is because I take them every single day. But I also have a new packet in my cupboard because I don't want to be without my omega-3s. So these are really important because omega-3s are vital to building the cell membranes of all of your cells. And to give you an idea of how important that is, every single little bit of you, every tissue, every organ, every piece of skin is just composed of cells. So it's vital absolutely everywhere in your body, including your brain and your hormone system, so that they can work properly, in your blood vessels, just everywhere. So it's really important to have enough omega-3s, and often we are deficient in our diet, so if we could up those, that would be amazing. Studies have also shown an association between having a diet higher in omega-3s and a lower rate of depression, so the proof is in the pudding there. It's not just me saying lots of sciencey stuff and, you know, making an extrapolation about why they're important. Actual studies have proven that this makes people happier. Okay. So the next thing I would like to recommend is fermented foods, and this is fermented foods or probiotic sources. So this is stuff like water kefir or kombucha. It was a weird example to start with, actually. I say it because I've had it recently. Kombucha, kimchi, yogurt, natural yogurt. Plain though, not the sugary kind, not the fruity kind, sadly. You can put fruit in plain yogurt, and that is better for you than the almost liquid sugar that is in yogurt. So yes, they're a good source of prebiotics and probiotics. Also, we'll get to this later, but the fibre in avocado is also a good prebiotic. So yeah, these are important because these probiotics and this fermentation process, it creates good bacteria. And good bacteria, even though they're called bacteria and we often think of bacteria as bad, they're actually really necessary for us to be able to digest food and many other things. The gut microbiome is hugely influential on our mood and how we feel, and also our personalities. There were some really interesting studies that they did on mice, which they found that bacteria, the different bacteria in gut microbiomes, could predict whether a mouse was more extroverted or introverted. Obviously it would be, I don't know if they've done the same on humans, it would probably be quite difficult, but yeah, it can even have an impact on personality. But yes, especially mood, and also the gut microbiome is responsible for producing over 90% of our serotonin, which is one of the neurotransmitters in our brains. And low levels of serotonin are correlated with depression. So it's important that we have a healthy gut microbiome, and the way that we do this is by having a variety of foods. Obviously some people can't. I can't have a huge variety, but within the niches that I can eat those foods, I have lots and lots of different things, and I have a lot of vitamins and minerals every single day. So yeah, variety is one, and then eating these really healthy foods, and then fermented foods can also help to promote the diversity of bacteria in your gut, especially things like water kefir and kombucha, which basically they are bacterial colonies, and then you drink them and we believe it is able to go into the gut. So yes, these are foods that could have a huge impact on your mood. And while we're on the subject of serotonin, the next suggestion I would have for you, based on what you said about your food, is try and increase your uptake of B vitamins. So lots of these can be found in dark leafy green vegetables, so try and have a portion of those every day. And I know that that's really difficult. Believe me, I am not naturally a vegetable person at all, so it's really difficult for me to switch to become a vegetable person, because I know they're so important for me. So yeah, things like kale, spinach, just anything that looks leafy and green basically, but also broccoli, Brussels sprouts, anything green is very, very good, but don't rule out those other vegetables. Also, root veg is another great diverse source of minerals. And then for fruit, there's B vitamins in banana and oranges and cantaloupe, and there are plenty of other sources also. I have some sort of yeast extract product, although I have the gluten-free version, but I would advise you, unless you have a gluten intolerance, to have the normal version. There's no reason not to, with the exception of certain autoimmune. Obviously there's a line there, but if you're healthy, I don't think there's any reason not to have gluten in your diet. I don't think it's healthy to have 6 pieces of bread a day, which is what I used to do. But having gluten in moderate amounts is fine. And if you have one of these yeast extract products like Marmite or Vegemite, you can get a huge amount of B vitamins all in one go, and I have that on my toast every morning. And then for B12, most meat eaters will be fine with this. There is a lot of B12 in animal products, but if you're like me and you are more on the side of plants, it's probably best to supplement B12. I drink my B12 typically, but yeah, there are a couple of ways you can get it. There are quite a few plant-based, kind of more processed products that fortify it with B12. There are some products I wouldn't recommend having, like the coconut oil based cheeses where it's 100% coconut oil, because that is a lot of saturated fat, and it's nothing to do with putting on weight or whatever. You can still be very slim and eat a lot of saturated fat, but it's not good for your cells. They play an antagonistic role really in cell wall building, compared to unsaturated fats, which are very, very necessary. So the reason the B vitamins particularly are important for being happy and being your best self and feeling that the best that you can is because they are absolutely vital in creating those neurotransmitters that we talked about before, like serotonin and it's just critical in allowing your brain to run properly, and a huge amount of your mood comes from how your brain functions, essentially. I think that also they might be used to synthesize hormones also, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so take that with a pinch of salt. But definitely on the neurotransmitters, I'm 100% sure. So yeah, very important to be your best self and to feel your best. Okay, so I realised that I forgot to tap my water kefir bottle from when we were talking about fermented foods before, so I'll do that while I move on to the next food. And the next food is avocado. And avocado is really incredible food. I eat avocado a lot. It is one of my very favourite foods. Obviously, it's difficult on a budget, but I have friends who eat the whole avocado at once. When budgeting, don't typically do that, depending on the size of the avocado as well, and making sure that you're going to an affordable supermarket can really reduce it compared to other things. Obviously, it's never going to be as cheap as having a breakfast from cereal, but I have a very cheap lunch instead, so I'm just switching the two round, really. So that's what I splurge on, avocado, and it has lots of vitamin C, vitamin E and vitamin B6, and we just talked about why B vitamins are so important to be your happiest, best self. These are all really important vitamins and minerals, really important for normal brain functioning, but also vitamin C is vital for your immune system, and even if that's only a temporary thing, having a well-functioning immune system means you don't get as sick, or you don't get sick as much, and who likes being sick, really? So some more happiness right there, unless you enjoy the feeling of not having to do anything and just watching stuff, which I admit can be nice, but it would be better done if you weren't sick at all. As I talked about before with the fermented and prebiotic foods, some of the fibre in avocado, it acts as a prebiotic, so it contributes to the health of the gut microbiome. And yeah, I love it. I have it on top of my yeast extract. So I have Vegemite, which is very Australian of me. If I was being a British stereotype, I would have Marmite on my toast underneath avocado, and that's what I do. It's just such a rich, kind of salty flavour. But yeah, I love it. I have it every single morning, and yeah, it's what I look forward to every night when I go to sleep. In fact, I'm looking forward to it right now. They're also antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, all of which have a positive impact on the brain and how you function. So the next food that I would recommend that you add into your diet is oats. I don't know how well you can see that. So oats is a great one. It offers something quite different than everything else that we've talked about before. So oats is a complex carb, so instead of having a simple refined carb at breakfast, or in my case lunch, it helps to stabilize your blood sugar. But I do an additional thing, because if you're having just carbs, you are still going to get a bit of a blood sugar spike, and what happens is when you have those spikes in blood sugar and they go up and then they crash right down, you can get very irritable up here and anxious, and then when you're down here feel very tired and crash essentially, and more likely to experience burnout. So having a stable blood sugar is very important for staying happy and keeping your mood kind of stable. So what I do, instead of just having oats, what I will do just before I go to sleep is I will pour oat milk. It's funny that I'm pouring oat milk into oats, but I'll pour oat milk into my oats, and I'll put them in the fridge overnight, and then that will give me just a lunch ready-made in 20 seconds for tomorrow. And what I'll then do is I'll put maybe a third or a half of a jar of nut butter in there, and I'm trying to think of the size of the jar. Maybe it's like this big. I'm not sure if that's very, like, this is my face. There we go. It's like this big. Yeah, it's not huge. So when I'm saying I have a half a jar of nut butter, it's not a huge amount. I mean, it is a huge amount. I mean, people, if someone were to go on a traditional diet, a very traditional diet, which I completely disagree with the whole diet industry, if I'm being honest. And when I say the diet industry, I mean the lose weight industry. I obviously don't mean actual nutrition and diets, because as I've said, diet is very important, hence we're having this talk today, and hence I've chosen this path. But even though it is quite a lot of calories, as long as you're eating throughout the day whole foods, mainly unprocessed foods, then it's not an issue having a whole tub of nut butter. It's important for not a whole tub, half a tub, because it can provide you with lots of protein and really healthy fats, which are absolutely vital. And I forgot to mention this with the avocado also, so it's a good job that I went on this little rant about nut butter. I usually have almond or cashew, or you might want peanut butter, and if you just stir it into the oats, it's just beautiful. So healthy fats are really important for our brain also. Numerous studies have shown their positive impact on the brain, and again, I'm not 100% certain, but I am almost certain that they have a positive influence on the hormone system as well. I'm pretty sure they're needed to synthesize those hormones, but they're definitely important for having a healthy brain. So you shouldn't be scared of fat, it's just having the right fats. So yeah, I have half a tub of nut butter in my oats, and then I get the calcium from the milk as well, not normal milk, but you might have normal cow's milk. But yeah, just a very balanced meal, and then I might throw in some blueberries or some grapes, which respectively have antioxidants and or resveratrols, which are again neuroprotective, which means they protect the neurons in your brain, so they help your brain function in the long term. So yes, that is the final recommendation I would give you, of just a couple of the nutrients that I think would benefit you and make you the happier, best version of yourself going forward. But I do want to say that although you have some fruits and vegetables, basically the whole world is deficient in vitamins and minerals from fruits and vegetables, because we just habitually do not eat enough of these, most of us. So I had to make a significant life change. And now what I do, because I've never been a huge vegetable person, it's a lot easier to eat fruit. Just, if you're not eating enough fruit, just have it as a little dessert at the end of a meal, you know. So blueberries after breakfast, or grapes after lunch, or an orange after dinner, you know, something like that, and then switch it up the next day so that you're having different fruits. That gives you 3 of your 5 a day. 5 is not enough, by the way, just to let you know. But I feel like government sets these targets because they feel achievable, rather than alienate people with the actual, you know, nutrition they need and just scare them off it completely because it seems too hard. So what I did to incorporate more vegetables, because frankly vegetables are just as, if not slightly more important than fruit, and I have never been a vegetable person. I could easily go weeks and weeks without eating vegetables, but I am a changed woman ever since I got into nutrition, and I have been doing a cheat method. I think having a big salad for one meal of the day is a good idea, but lots of people don't like salad like that, like who likes just eating veg basically. Lucky people like eating veg just straight like that. So what I do is I took a plant-based Alfredo sauce that I used to put in pasta, and I just absolutely smothered a huge plate of vegetables. So sometimes I'll roast sweet potatoes and parsnips. So I'll have 1 sweet potato and 1 parsnip just chopped up, shove them in the oven. Literally takes 2 minutes maximum. And then while that's happening, I'll make myself the pasta Alfredo sauce, even though it's not for pasta. And I'll chop some garlic, I'll chop some onion, and then I will put it on a frying pan in maybe 2 cups of water, and I'll put a vegetable stock cube in there, and then when that's cooked, or somewhere in this time, I'll probably put stuff like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, spring greens, any leafy greens in the oven. So by that time the foundation for the sauce is done, so I will take it off and I'll put it in a food processor with cashews, lots of cashews, and then you just blend it all together, and then it makes this really creamy, really tasty sauce. You wouldn't believe how tasty it is, considering it's like 3 ingredients. I think the vegetable stock cube is to thank for that. Salt can do a lot for a meal, and obviously I don't suggest having a diet really high in salt, but considering that is the main source of salt I use, as well as the yeast extract for sodium, it's not too bad, like compared to having a McDonald's packet of chips basically. So yeah, I'll just put that all over these vegetables, and it will be about 9 of my 5 a day just in one meal. And that has really helped me, and I feel really good internally. Like physically, I feel nourished by that meal, and also I just feel really good that I've taken such good care of myself. But yeah, obviously you don't have to do that. You can do something else, but I do suggest finding a way, taking the time out of your life to find a way that you can enjoy vegetables on a really regular basis, because it will just pay off so much, not just now but especially in the long term. most vitamins and minerals, obviously not all of them, there's a high proportion that come from other things, but most of our vitamins and minerals come from fruit and veg and just plants in general, but mainly fruit and veg. And just making sure that you have enough of these will just make a huge difference to your health and just lowers your risk for all sorts of things. So as well as giving your body all of the building blocks and giving it everything that it needs to function properly, to make all the neurotransmitters that it needs to have a healthy microbiome that, doesn't mess with your brain, because it can. Read more about the gut-brain axis if you want to. I could do a whole session about it, and it kind of sounds pseudo-sciencey, but it's not. It's very much accepted in traditional mainstream science. And the hormone system, obviously our hormones have a massive impact on our mood. So yeah, just making sure that everything's functioning properly is just going to make you a happier person. And these changes won't be instant, so just be patient and just try and be happy in the fact that you're making positive changes. However many you decide to make at first, or if you just try to implement one new healthy change, literally anything is positive. Everything that you decide to do to make a healthy change in your diet and to just boost it a little bit, it's not even bad right now, but everything you do is going to help your body so much in the long term. So I think we've covered everything today. Thank you so much for coming to see me, and I hope I get to see you again soon. This has been fun. I love talking about food and eating food, but surprisingly, even though I talked about all of that prep and I do cook a lot, I actually hate cooking. I hate cooking, but it's very, very important to me, and really health is the absolute most important thing, and sadly a lot of us don't realise this until it is not too late, because we can always make a change to make things better, but I don't think we realise how precious our health is and how precious our life is. And not for me to tell you how to live your life, but I think you owe it to yourself to do absolutely everything you can to live the life that makes you the happiest and most fulfilled, and you have a long life and that you have a good quality life. Okay, so that is the end of my ranting and preaching just there, but I'm just saying it because I care about you and I want you to be your healthiest, happiest self. Apologies if I got too preachy, but yes, I still hope to see you again soon.